Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another UFC fight prediction video. In this video, I'll be predicting the full card of fights for UFC Fight Night, Yan versus Figueiredo. So without further ado, let's get to our first fight of the night and the first fight that I'll be predicting. So let's get into it. First fight we have in the lightweight division, we got Maheshate versus Nicholas Motta. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going low confidence Maheshate to beat Nicholas Motta. So yeah, low confidence Maheshate to beat Nicholas Motta. Low confidence Maheshate. Low confidence Maheshate. So you don't have to ask me later what my confidence on the video because I just said it like 5 times. And I say it at the beginning of every single pick, So the confidence, if you want to know the confidence, you don't have to ask me. I've already said it multiple times. And in the quick picks, in the description, I do put my confidence there as well. So you go into the quick pick where I literally say it, and it's in the description as well. So you don't have to ask me for that. It's there. And I hope I made that clear. But yeah, Maheshate to beat Nicholas Motta. Yeah, I like the fact that this is in China for Maheshate. I don't think either guys like the perfect stylistic matchup for either guy, to be honest. Neither of these guys are, or at least in the UFC, have shown to be like high output. I think they both really have shown to be finishers in fights they won. Maheshate did win a decision in his last fight, but he did get outvalued in his last fight. So again, he's not like the guy that's like, oh, he does 200 strikes. Like he's always outstriking. He's so long, he's so fast, and he puts up so much volume. He's not that. Motta, unlike his last one, he's not really a great kicker. He has good hooks and stuff. But I think Hayazer could deal with like a good hooker. A good hooker. Hey, yeah, that's his own personal business. But yeah, Mo's gonna give up a lot of height, a lot of reach, and I don't really think he has such a great kicking. I feel like with Hayazer against the last opponent, Benitez was like a veteran who had a good kicking game, and that that kicking helps deal with that reach. Motta might be a little bit explosive, but I don't feel like he's that explosive. I don't feel like he's that technical to cover that gap. And Hayazer is younger, he has more upside, and also again, this is in China, so it's kind of like seeming like unless Motta just washes him or stops him, like washes him, like just dominates him for 3 rounds, drop him in a couple rounds, or stops him. It's kind of hard to see him beating one of China's young prospects who they want to see do well and see do great. So I feel like at worst it's probably still going to be like at worst case decision type vibe, close decision that probably should go Motta way. Probably gonna definitely go Hayazer's way. And then I feel like even the UFC wants to see him win as well because they feel like, oh, we got a young fighter we can build with, and we could go back into this region and have him headline or co-main event or this in the future. Sky's the limit. But yeah, that's the politics side. But prediction wise, yeah, I feel like Motta doesn't really have the greatest kicking game, so he's gonna struggle with the length of Maheshate. Also, his striking is very limited. Again, mostly just winging hooks, and that he's gonna struggle to cover that distance. And I also think Maheshate will have made more adjustments where I feel like Motta, I feel like I have not really seen no type of evolution from him where I do see development from Hayazer. So yeah, I think Maheshate will be able to use his length, outstrike Motta, maybe get a stoppage. Probably a stoppage should be the prediction, but I'll say decision just be longer and be able to use that length, tag him more and be out of the way when he come in with those big hooks, or be able to be there to be able to pull him into a counter. But I do see Maheshate using his length, using his reach, using his youth to outwork Motta to a decision victory. So in this one, I have Maheshate via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the bantamweight division, we got Long Xiao versus Quang Lee. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going low confidence Long Xiao to beat Quang Lee. But yeah, low confidence Long Xiao to win. Quang Lee might got more power. I guess he has more experience in UFC because he fought Chris Gutierrez. He didn't really do much in that fight. He was a fill-in punching back, I guess. He didn't really do nothing so impressive. It was a competitive fight. It was pretty clear Gutierrez won. It wasn't a wash. He held his own, but it wasn't like any type of competitive, I would say. It was like, oh, I think he won that round. I think he did that. Nah, he didn't really do much anything except not get finished or not get dominated, I guess. But yeah, I'm not so impressed with skill. I think he got a little more power than Long Xiao, but I feel like this is a fight that's primarily probably going to come down to work rate. And also, I think he's like, what's he? He's not Chinese. Long Xiao's Chinese. Quang Lee's not Chinese, so they're in China. This fight probably, regardless of where it is, will come down to work rate. And I think Long Xiao, like even his what's called road to UFC fight that he lost, came up short on. He put up a very high pace. I think he still landed like 120, 130 significant strikes or something like that. So the guy showed that he can have that work rate. I think he's the better worker here. I feel like either guy is so much more skilled than the other guy. I feel like Long Xiao will throw more volume. I think he'll look to mix it up more than Quang Lee. I feel like Quang Lee will primarily look to strike, whereas Long Xiao will look to mix up takedowns. And he'll throw the volume that's necessary to win this fight, where I feel like Quang Lee's going to be more so probably looking to land the heavier shots. And I think that's just not going to be enough for him, especially given the territory that he's in. So yeah, long Xiao work rate and versatility is going to be what wins him this fight. So in this one, I have Long Xiao via decision. Now to our next one, we have in the flyweight division, we got Lonair Kavanagh versus Jose Ochoa. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going average confidence, Lonair Kavanagh to beat Jose Ochoa. So I could make this long pick. I made a quick pick of this actually kind of long, but I'll make this short right here. Ochoa's amazing talent. I would love for him to give him a more winnable fight instead of just trying to give him a fight and throw him into the woofs. I feel like this kid Ochoa has a high ceiling as well. He's Johnny on like 22, 23. And he's already exceptional for where he's at right now. And I think he, again, another guy that has a high ceiling. So I don't see why you matching two young guys like this. Especially when these young guys, especially when one of these young guys hit as hard as Kavanagh. Kavanagh could potentially mess this kid up right now because he has so much power in his hands. I see this going the distance. I see this guy, rising to the occasion, Ochoa. I just don't see him winning. But I do see him rising to the occasion and giving Kavanagh a very good fight. But I hate when this guy, just get into the UFC and they already feed him to this guy like he did some, like just feeding him to some other product that they just feels bigger. Like you could have given this guy journeyman can and to get like 2 fights in UFC, let him develop. Then maybe 3-4 fights down the line, he fights like a Kavanagh, or like this guy has some promise. Oh, who's gonna go to the next stage? But like, what is like Kavanagh's debut and this is Ochoa's debut? Like, I hate when they do stuff like that, personally. But yeah, I just think Lonair Kavanagh's further along. I feel like he's fought at a higher level. I even think he won some championships or a championship. He's actually fought him in the series, had the chance to show himself and to get here. And he looks good. He looks bright. I feel like you could see the experience on paper, and you can see it in the fight. I feel like he's more developed, more fleshed out. He's stronger. I think he's more powerful. He's more technical, and just a further along fighter. And also, he's like 2 years old. They're both very young. I think Kavanagh's only 25. Ochoa's like 23, 22. And yeah, he has experience, and he had more time to develop his body and whatnot. All around like that time and experience at a higher level, time and experience in life. And yeah, I just think Kavanagh is in a better spot. I will say Ochoa will rise to the occasion, not to win, but to, not get ran over, but make it a very competitive scrap, make it one of the better fights of the night. A very high level fight for two guys. Matter of fact, very high level fight in general, but for the level that these guys at and the age they are, it's going to be like a very exceptional fight. But I think Lonair Kavanagh, again, just further along, will have more power. Probably might not land as much, but maybe like 4 or 5, 6 strikes less, but land heavier, get the bigger reaction when he lands his shots. And even probably when they land on the arm, he just so powerful, so quick that, he'll probably move Ochoa even when Ochoa's blocking. That's going to affect the judges as well. So, yeah, very good scrap. But Lonair Kavanagh, I think, just better overall right now. So, at a better place. So, in this one, I have Lonair Kavanagh via decision. Now to our next one. We have in the flyweight division, we got Carlos Hernandez versus Tumendemberel. Hey, I'm gonna hate saying that name, but I'm picking him to win here. So in this one, I'm going Tumendemberel to win low confidence over Carlos Hernandez. Hernandez is a bit underrated talent, but I think odds-wise here, he's overrated odds-wise. I don't understand why he's the favorite. It might have shifted from the last time I looked. You blink and then the odds change sometimes on fights like this. But yeah, he's like 1-3 in the UFC or 2. I don't know, like not a very good record in the UFC. I don't feel like he's such an amazing fighter. Like, he has such good striking. He has such good deals. I feel like he was like skill-wise, he's underrated, but odds-wise, he's overrated. But as far as his position in the UFC, I feel like he's one guy that's okay. He has the skills, I guess, to be here, but it's like he doesn't really have skills to climb. That's what I'm trying to say. And it's kind of odd that he's a favorite. Like it's like he should never be found. Like his offensive grappling's all that great. I feel like he's pretty durable and he could hold his own in different departments. Like he holds on the feet, he holds on in the grab department. And at certain levels, he can mix it up against certain levels. But yeah, I'm going with Tumendemberel. Day in Asia, I think he's gonna show up. He's undefeated. He has big power, underrated grappling skills as well. I think he'll be the bigger, stronger fighter. Hernandez does have the experience at this level, but again, it's like 1-3. He overperformed in his last fight, which was good for him. But I'm not expecting Tumendemberel to try to have such a grappling approach. I feel like Tumendemberel is going to look to strike with him. And I think he just has heavier hands, bigger, stronger. Maybe not as technical, but I don't think he'll need to be. I think he'll be able to catch Hernandez and put him away in the second round. So, in this one, I have Tumendemberel via second round TKO. Now to our next fight, we have in the women's strawweight division, we got Feng versus Mingxi, and this is like the for the tournament championship for Road to UFC. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going Feng to Feng, low confidence to beat Mingxi. Like I'm not gonna go like, oh, average this. I really don't know these women. Like really until they step into the cage, and start seeing them fight and develop, then you're like, oh, I know her. But like looking at Road is such a, it's not really the best place to really indicate how good or bad a fighter is, to be honest. Sometimes it could be too bad. Like you just we could clearly see you're bad, but good, it's kind of hard to gauge with Road. Very hard. But yeah, Feng, she's younger, 22. I don't like the age. I feel like I would love it more. She was like 25, 26, 22 is kind of, yeah, very Gerberish. But I'm not really impressed with Mingxi. Like I feel like she primarily strikes, and I feel like her striking, she only got no pop in her punches. Not really much so impressed about her skills and her grappling, her striking. Feng, I feel like she's a much better striker. I feel like she's, in my opinion, a better submission grappler too. Takedown offense could be better, but submission skill, I feel like she's low-key better than Mingxi in submission skill. I feel like she's much better on feet. It's really the much better overall fighter. I just personally just don't like the age too much. And in general, with these road fighters, like it's pretty hard to get, like it's pretty hard to gauge where they're at until you start to see them really testing and really get them out of here, out of this road stuff, and circulate them into the UFC and see how they stack against the real competition. Then you're like, oh, yeah, that person's good. That person's not good. Yeah, but to sum it up, I think Feng is the better overall fighter. And I could see a style, but I'm gonna say like a decision, like probably high volume output decision for a Feng. Like probably gonna be damaging she up a bit in this fight, but it's not like she really is the biggest puncher, so it's probably still gonna go the distance. So in this one, I have Feng via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the flyweight division for another road finale. We got Kiro Sahota versus Donghoon Choi. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going low confidence Kiro Sahota to beat Donghoon Choi. Yeah. Both solid fighters, but I feel like both of these guys primarily prefer to strike. And from what I've seen, I think Kiro Sahota, in my opinion, is the clear better striker. I feel like Choi has such big power and he light on his feet, or such this, such that. He's given him a lot of height, a lot of length. And I feel like Sahota's a more technical striker, and I feel like he's also the more dynamic striker. I also feel like he has a higher output than Choi. And again, I could see if Choi was a guy that really mixing and grappling a lot, that could shift the narrative. Maybe he'll train and mix that in, but from what I've seen, I don't see a guy that really heavily mixes and grappling. I see a guy that primarily prefers to strike and primarily prefers to, to keep the fight on the feet. Like he defends takedowns better than Sahota, but does he really go for takedowns? I think you could switch position. Like you take your takedown offense and you turn it into your offensive takedowns. Maybe that makes the fight close. Maybe that makes me shift to Choi, but yeah, I haven't seen that. So I think Kiro Sahota would be too long, too dynamic on the feet, and I think he beats Choi by decision here. So in this one, I have Kiro Sahota via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the bantamweight division for our road finale. We got Su Young Yu versus Baojin Jenisuly. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going low confidence Baojin Jenisuly to beat Su Young Yu. Yeah, I feel like Su Young Yu is like primarily a grappler, and I feel like Baojin Jenisuly is a taller, longer fighter. I think they're both like about the same age. And also, this is in China. I think Su Young Yu is like Korean. Baojin Jenisuly is Chinese, so location plays a factor here. I think Jenisuly's grappling is pretty solid enough. Su Young Yu is obviously the better grappler, but I think Baojin Jenisuly had like 80% takedown defense ratio or like higher or something like that. So I think he can stuff the takedowns of Su Young Yu, and I think he can outwork him on the feet. But yeah, very, very close fight, but I got to go Baojin Jenisuly. And I think Su Young Yu has been very heavily a grappler throughout this this season of road to UFC. And also in his last fight, his most recent, the most recent image of him in the cage was him like this fading bad in the third round, and he got outstruck like 22-8 or something like that. And I could definitely see a case where that, like, he struggles to get the takedown, or he works hard to get a takedown, and then he kind of gets swamped, or he gets outworked, and he kind of gets a takedown late. And, he wastes so much energy trying to get there, and he's not able to be effective there. Then he just got a guy in his home country just outworking him into a close fight. In close fight, they're probably gonna give it to their hometown guy. But even regardless, I feel like regardless of where they at in a fight like this, that's highly likely gonna come down to who has the higher work rate. In your last fight, you faded bad in the third round. In the third round, especially for championships, or the final round and for championships, always, a lot of times, especially in close fights, especially in close fights, come down to who can dig deeper, who can push in that third round. And Sung Yu failed that miserably last fight. He was able to get like a split decision in that fight, but I think his luck's gonna run out in this fight. So in this one, I got Jenisuly via decision. All right. Now into our next fight, we have in the light heavyweight division, we got Diaz versus Zhang. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going low confidence Zhang to beat Diaz. And this seems like a pretty clear setup fight, but I can't act like Zhang is such this exceptional fighter. He's not yet. Maybe he'll evolve into it. Maybe he'll get there. But yeah, this is a fight where I can see guy getting chin, but I got to go Zhang is in China. He's young. They're clearly trying to push him. They're clearly trying to give him a fighter that he should beat, but you know, it should look like a test for him. But it's like when they like on surface level, it look like it should be a test, but surface level like it should be a test, but below the surface, like yeah, this guy's we're really expecting and hoping this guy knocks the guy out in the first round. We've seen Diaz chin a couple times. We've seen Diaz rock like in both his last two fights. Yes, he won on paper. He stopped both those guys, but early on he was struggling. And Zhang has the power to crack him. He has the size, the power to crack him. And I see the same that they're saying. But obviously, if I go a lot of way, that's why my confidence not gonna be like, oh my gosh, this guy just because Zhang hasn't shown to be all this and all that just yet. But seemed like a pretty good setup fight for him. Diaz is a pretty solid guy, but I think he's pretty chinny. I feel like his defense can be lacking a lot of times, and I think Zhang will be able to make those improvements, between fights, get better and build confidence from his last performance. Be able to stalk Diaz and put him out first round, probably towards the later portion of that first round, like around the 4 minute mark. Probably get him against cage. Another thing, Diaz also gets his back to the cage a lot, and I think Zhang will be able to get him there and will be able to find him up, set him up, give him no room to move, crack him, and put him out first round, late into the round. So in this one, I got Zhang via first round TKO. Now to our next fight. What is this? Yeah, we got a couple more fights left. But yeah, next fight we got in the light heavyweight division. We got Oezdemir versus Carlos Ulberg. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going low confidence Carlos Ulberg to beat Oezdemir. So two high level strikers going against each other. But yeah, low confidence Carlos Ulberg to beat Oezdemir. I just like Carlos Ulberg's youth. He's a fresher face. He's on a lot of momentum right now. Oezdemir is regaining himself. He's on like a 2-fight winning streak. I think he got a submission in one of those wins. And, against Bogdan Guskov, I think he dropped him, then subbed him, or something, hurt him, then subbed him. So a win that's aging very well over Bogdan Guskov. Pretty skilled fighter, a former title challenger. So Oezdemir is definitely still a solid threat. He's still got a lot of life left in him, but I gotta go Carlos Ulberg. I feel like his kickboxing experience is much more fresh than Oezdemir's. And I feel like he trains at the gym with a whole lot of high level kickboxers. I know Oezdemir is mixing in takedowns more now. And Ulberg, didn't Ulberg get like a late submission too? Like in one of his recent fights, they both got submissions over at least decent competition in recent fights. So they both got the element where they're improving. I feel like Oezdemir's wrestling is further along than Ulberg's, but Ulberg literally comes from a gym where they deal with wrestling all the time. So I'm not expecting to be so shell shocked about Oezdemir's wrestling. I'm so concerned of anything. I feel like that's probably just going to wear Oezdemir's gas tank down, trying to initiate some wrestling. I feel like going to end up in a kickboxing matchup. I feel like Carlos Ulberg is faster, he's longer, and he has the better counter shots. And he has that length, and he has the speed, and he has the better counter ability. I think he'll be able to draw Oezdemir in, catch him with his check hook he's been catching a lot of guys with, and stop him in the second round. But I do see this as a high-level kickboxing match, maybe a little bit tentative to start. But once it starts, I feel like Ulberg will be faster, will be sharper, will be longer, quicker, etc., etc. And he'll be able to draw out Oezdemir's mistakes better than Oezdemir will be able to draw out his mistakes. And I feel like Oezdemir, regardless of what this fight, he's got to have, to win or lose this fight, he has to kind of push because he's a shorter fighter. He's not short, but he's a shorter fighter. He has to cover that distance. And it's not like he's a guy that covers distance so good. He doesn't cover it bad, but he's not a guy like so springy that he could touch you and be back out of range. And he's not that guy. So he got to kind of stalk you, kind of come in. Maybe sometimes he'll like to, like a lot of times, he like if a long guy, he like to chew your legs up, then get on the inside. But I think Ulberg will do a good job of checking kicks, throwing his own kick, being light on his feet, and force Oezdemir to have to cover quicker and maybe a little bit more sloppier than he will want to or would love to. And that will leave openings for Ulberg to counter him with that check hook. And again, I see him like catch him with that probably a couple times, but particularly in the second round, hurt him with it significantly and then put him out second round. So in this one, I have Carlos Ulberg via second round TKO. Now to our next fight, we have in the women's flyweight division, we got Kong Wang versus Gabriela Fernandes. I don't know what happened there, but hey, it happened. We could act like it didn't happen, but it happened. But yeah, Kong Wang versus Gabriela Fernandes in the women's flyweight division. How do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going low confidence Kong Wang to beat Gabriela Fernandes. Confidence could be higher, but I do respect the threat of Gabriela Fernandes because it's not like either of these women are particularly great grapplers from what we've seen. Not a whole lot of tape on either one. Either we've seen Fernandes get out wrestled by some of the premier grapplers in this division. Like I think her first 2 fights. But it's not like Kong Wang has shown the ability to be able to grapple at such a high level just yet. Maybe we see that she has like at least like 1 submission win on her record, not in the UFC. So she has that ability, but does she have it at this level? And Fernandes has been working on the area, so would that be a path? But either way, both of these women are primary strikers, and both of them are good strikers. Kong Wang obviously has a more decorated striking background, but Fernandes, she's a big physical body. She has power. She has athleticism. I worry about her cardio a little bit. To her defense, I guess, as far as the last fight against Carly Judice is a very high output, high working fighter. I don't think like Kong Wang is such a high output fighter. She has good output and she has good condition. She has been able to fight long rounds, championship level, beat Valentina Shevchenko and kickboxing. So, she's able to go rounds of just striking. We have seen that in a pretty good output, but she's not like a 200 strike, 150 strikes over 15 minutes type fighter. I think she's probably like a 90. Like Fernandes about like a 70 strikes per round if it does go the distance, and then like a pretty competitive fight. But yeah, both have power, both are technical strikers, but yeah, leaves a lot to be concerned about. But I will say Kong Wang, they are in China. She's one of their bigger stars. Like this is a person they could definitely foresee being champion. I think with her age, her history with Valentina, I think it's all, and also the scope of the top of the division, I think she's in a good position to be China's next champion if all goes well, which is a very big gift. Like, you got to build that resume up. One fight is very, very much too soon to be like, oh, she's this, she's that. But given the landscape of the division, given her skill set, given her history, I think she is, they have every right to believe like this could be a future champion. Obviously, the work got to be put in. The work, this is going to be one of the works that she needs to put in. And stylistically, this is a tough match because now she's dealing with a weak takedown artist with no striker. She's dealing with a striker versus striker matchup. Talent, and she's facing that talent in that talent's area. It's her area as well, but yeah. Basically, gonna sum this down. Lethal striker on Fernandes' side, but Kong Wang's a lethal striker as well, and she has more experience there. And also, worst come to worst, close fight. They're in China, and that's obviously going to have their eyes on her. The UFC has their eyes on her. And if it does come to that, she's going to get the decision. But I say she'll win it clear. I'm not going to say it's going to be a wash, but I say she'll win it clear. I think early on, Fernandes probably take the first round, but then Kong Wang takes the second and third. That's my opinion, how I perceive or predict the fight will go. Kong Wang's high-level kickboxing experience will be able to come through, and she'll be able to figure Fernandes out, start to break it down, of course, the fight, and beat her by decision here. So, in this one, I have Kong Wang via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the welterweight division, we got Kenan Song versus Muslim Salikhov. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going low confidence Muslim Salikhov to beat Kenan Song. And yes, they're in China. And yes, Muslim Salikhov's output isn't that high, but Kenan Song's output is not that high. He's not that fast. He's not the guy that, I'm not saying Muslim Salikhov, I'm just saying, particularly Kenan Song, he's not that fast. For the most part, against good guys, he's just been like a zombie. He's one of those zombie punching bags. Like he's there to be hit all day long. He doesn't throw a particularly high output. Really his best moments against good guys is when like he catches them. Like, and most of the time those are against guys that are high output. Like he was able to catch Ian Gary and hurt him, but he was getting picked apart, caught him, had a little moment. Then Ian Gary went back to picking him apart and put him away. So he's not a guy that's like has really shown like super high level striking, high level defense, good output. Can look like pretty flat feet, pretty limited offense, pretty slow. And Muslim Salikhov might be 40, but Kenan Song fights like he's 40. And Muslim Salikhov is not a high output fighter, but he does do a good job of limiting your output. So Song already is a guy that doesn't really have the best striking, doesn't really have the best footwork, doesn't have the best this, the best that, dare to be hit. And Muslim Salikhov will be able to draw him into spinning back kicks, draw him to overhands. And again, Muslim Salikhov not a guy throwing like 100 strikes, so he's not giving you very many openings to touch him. It's not like Song is so long and so dynamic and so quick. He's not Randy Brown or these other guys. So he kind of have a slow guy kind of just walking, walking right where he wants to walk him. And again, landing stepping side, landing spinning back, landing overhand, maybe landing a spinning back fix or something. Chewing his legs up with kicks. And Song, I see Song really just trying to look for that big counter. And Salikhov is knowing it and drawing him into counters. And again, he's not Salikhov, not a guy that's doing the, it's like Holly Holman doing 100 strikes, like, oh, and doing the kick up. Like, he just, like I say, he looked at Lower this way, bap, look at Lower this way, bap, look at Lower way, spinning back, look at Lower this way. Like, he's a guy that maybe at most might throw 2 strikes in a row. If anything, probably really like one, like, drawing to that big strike, or maybe throw like a little touchy strike to set you up for the big strike. That's what type of striker Muslim Salikhov is, and I just see Song struggling with that style. And again, I also have not really seen no evolution in Song's game, and Song was never particularly some great fighter, so gotta go Muslim Salikhov. Definitely can see a stoppage, but at this age, you don't really see guys finishing guys too much. And Song, for the most part, has shown to be a pretty durable punching bag, so I think he'll make it the distance, but I think Salikhov's going to put on a striking clinic on him and beat him by decision here. So in this one, I have Muslim Salikhov via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the women's strawweight division, we got Xiao Nan versus Tabitha Ricci. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going low confidence Tabitha Ricci to beat Xiao Nan. Yeah, Xiao Nan, definitely a dangerous fighter, but I feel like her grappling has never really shown such big improvement. I know a lot of people like to reference the Weili Zhang fight, her last fight, like, oh, she looked so good against Weili Zhang, but let's be honest, Weili Zhang was just torching her, destroying her. And the only reason she came into the fight because Weili Zhang, the fight should have been stopped like 20 times. And you come close to stopping someone like 20 times, it's going to be that adrenaline dump. That's when Xiao Nan was able to look good. Somebody had, you should have been stopped 20, 300, 400 times, and the ref kept letting the fight go on for whatever reason. Like, give you a chance, I don't know, add to the highlight reel, want to make sure you really did or something. But you survived. Weili Zhang gassed out a bit, and the tank was on E, and you looked okay when she was gassed, but she was able to, I guess, get enough energy back to think win the final round or something. But I think she dominated, like, the first 2 rounds, came close to stopping, like, multiple times in the first and second. And I think she was able to do enough in, like, with the 5th round, get that second win and win. But it wasn't because Xiao Nan showed such improvement. She was getting torched on the feet, getting torched on the ground. Yeah, I feel like her takedown defense has improved. That's been an issue. We've seen Carla Esparza take her down. We've seen Angela Hill take her down. We've seen Carla Esparza take her down and destroy her in the 1st round. Not to say that Carla Esparza is some Canada. Carla Esparza is one of the best women's MMA fighter of all time, but I'm saying that particular area of her game is her weakest area, and that's where Ricci's strength is. Again, I'm not going to know high confidence, but I feel like this is a spot where Ricci could come in, is the underdog, get these takedowns, and grind out a decision over Xiao Nan. And if she doesn't just clearly get the takedown, I feel like she's a fighter that can continuously push for the takedown and work for takedown, and eventually get them and just grind out a decision over Xiao Nan. But a very competitive fight. Xiao Nan is the rightful favorite, especially against a fighter, given what Xiao Nan's recent fight, and given maybe the confidence she got from the fight. Also, given the fact that Ricci probably can only win, like 99% chance if Ricci wins, it's going to be by decision. And it's in China, and if it is a close fight, most likely going to give it to the Chinese fighter Yan. So yeah, she's the rightful favorite, but I think Ricci has the stylistic advantage that has historically caused Yan's issue. In fights that Yan has, really looked her best against, where fighters like, let's see, what's her name? Jessica Andrade, who came in and just rushing with punches and she got caught. Ricci's not out there. She knows she's not no great striker. She's not go out there rushing and swinging. She's going to rush for a little bit and wait for that count and look for a takedown off of it. But yeah, I got to go Tabitha Ricci. I like the history of Yan as far as dealing with grappling. I like it against her. I like her for Ricci. And I think Ricci will be able to put on that grind, put on that work rate, and be able to eke out a decision over Yan with that control time. Make it close but clear enough so that they can't rob her too much. Probably still gonna be a split decision type fight, but I think Ricci will be able to get her hand raised. So in this one, I got Tabitha Ricci via decision. Now to our main event, we have in the bantamweight division, we got former bantamweight champion Piotr Yan versus former flyweight champion Deiveson Figueiredo. Top 10 ranked fight between two top 10. I don't know what rank they are, but they both are ranked in the top of the bantamweight division. I think they both at least top 6, I would say. Both at least top 6. I know Piotr Yan is definitely like top 3. Figueiredo, I think he's broken to like top 5, top 6. But yeah, pretty good matchup here. But how do I feel about it? I'm going average confidence Piotr Yan to beat Deiveson Figueiredo. Yeah, I just feel like the 5 rounds does not favor Deiveson Figueiredo. Yes, he might be at bantamweight now, but I feel like even at bantamweight, I feel like he kind of I saw a bit of fading against Font. I seen some fading against Vera. He kind of faded and he was able to catch Vera. But I think Yan's defense is much better. I think Yan's also pressure fight. So if Figueiredo starts to slow down against Yan, it's just going to be a bad look for him, especially with 5 rounds. 3 rounds, he might have had a better chance, but 5 rounds, that's a tough task for Figueiredo. Figueiredo's like, he's in the later stage of his 30s, like 36, about to be 37, I think. He turned like 37 in like December, so he close to turn 37, I believe. And Petr Yan, I think like 30, 31. So Petr Yan's right in his prime, Figueiredo like in his prime. This is Petr Yan's weight class. He has a lot to prove that he still needs to prove, especially given himself. And yeah, I think he's going to be able to. I think Figueiredo probably typically in Yan fight he might drop the first round, but he has 4 more rounds to work with. And I'm not even gonna say he's gonna drop it while like Figueiredo will come out and look so phenomenal. Like Figueiredo probably gonna do more than him in that first round. Probably land like 7 more strikes, take that first round. Nothing too crazy. But once Petr Yan started to get a reform, probably start to counter his punch, like counter him and land big shots to his body. And now those knees are illegal that he landed. Like they are legal. The ones that he got DQ'd for against Aljamain Sterling are now legal. Or roughly legal. I think what was Aljo like on one knee, so that still would be illegal. I think he was on one knee or something. But either way, unless your knees on the ground, you can't play the one hand, you can't play the two hand, you can't play the pinkies, you can't play that. So I think those are open. And I think Figueiredo probably will end up in that position, probably when he's gassed and once Yan starts to stalk him, and especially in the later rounds. And I do see a 4th round TKO for Petr Yan. Like I think a high level fight, competitive fight. But I just think again the rounds, the age, I think all of it kind of line up for Petr Yan. Stylistic matchup, and I think Petr Yan will be able to be defensively sound as he always is. Start to stalk and break Figueiredo down, and continue to apply that pressure as Figueiredo starts to noticeably slow. Start to rip to the body, chew his legs up. And then when Figueiredo looks to defensively wrestle, probably to start to cap him with some knees, break him down, rip to the body, and put him away in the 4th round. So in this one, I had Petr Yan via 4th round TKO. So Petr Yan, 4th round TKO. And yeah, that concludes my fight predictions for the 4-card fights for UFC Fight Night, Yan versus Figueiredo. And as always, thanks for watching.